I guess my question is, do we change those mid-season versus at the beginning of the season so they can work the whole season?
Oh, we change those out every couple of weeks.
Oh, is that what we do? Okay, well.
There's just a bulk of them, and then
Okay.
when we get down, we'll order another
Okay.
bulk, and,
All
yeah,
right.
they're changing those out constantly.
Okay.
They do a lot of stuff.
That's a good question for me to ask then. So speaking of mowing, are you gonna go over where we're at and where we're mowing and where the mowers are and stuff in the comments? And if not, you can address it then.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
That all? Okay. Payroll, August 15th for a total of $141,327.25.
I move we approve the thing with the payroll as presented.
Any discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Is anybody missing a treasurer's report? I got two of them.
Never mind.
Lucky you.
Wow, good.
Too bad we didn't have double the money.
That's right. Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, the beginning cash and investment balance is $2,392,427.42. The total receipts is $251,826.61. Total disbursements, $553,491,100, Our bonds in escrow, $10,250. CDs, $651,282.82. Our ending available fund balance is $1,429,329.92. Our outstanding accounts payable, $41,270.14.
Any questions? If not, same as presented. Thank you. Public comment. Who wants to go? Yeah.
I'll go first. It's good news. I just want to say thank you for fixing Russ Dick, and you fixed another culvert up on Long Lake. So I'm waiting for the next rain to see what happens. Got a new road and everything up there. It's great. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, within 2 months I'm going, yay.
See the influence you got.
Yeah, I must have. You don't want me bitching all the time, do you?
I wasn't gonna say that.
I won't.
Yes.
Okay, I live in Totem Village, and back in, it must have been around the 8th of July, the trucks came down and smoothed out an area for drainage because I had a neighbor complaining of dirt and gravel going down their driveway. I had 5 boulders up along there to help divert it a little bit. I know gravity's gonna cause some gravel to go down there. I have 3 to 4 inches of gravel that goes a third of the way down towards the lake in my yard. I cannot mow it. I have called every week since then, since July 15th I came in, and every week since I've been calling. I just would like somebody to come out. I physically cannot clean that up. I just wanted somebody to come out, and if we could come to some sort of resolution to solve the road problem and my yard. And I'm not getting anywhere. Mark Seeley did call me on the 13th, I believe it was, of this month. And his response to me was, we can't have water running down the road. Which, in response, I said, I can't have a quarry in my yard. And he said he was gonna get with somebody and come out. Nothing has been.
I think him and Kevin have been talking about it, but I don't know if we've gotten anywhere with it yet, so.
Is there no ditch there?
I don't know for sure, I haven't been out there myself, so.
No, there's no ditch.
What's your address?
3265 Totem Trail. The lot in question is 3280. It's directly across from my house,
Is that the empty lot?
my lake lot that goes down to my boat road.
Okay.
Did you look into that, Bob?
Yep, I sure will.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Next. Alan.
At the end.
Oh, man. You're gonna let it build up. Yes, Doug.
On Tuesday, I'm going to present the Lewis Emery Park Road proposal. And I did come in to talk to Bob on Monday, and we came up with a couple ideas. I'm hoping for some discussion during this meeting so that I can have a little more information for Tuesday.
Okay.
Does that need to be something that we specify under like new business, or just go under public comment and just continue?
It's old.
Yeah, it could be old business.
Okay.
We've addressed it a few hundred times.
Very old.
So my suggestion would be, why don't we add it in under old business, let public comment
Okay, close.
finish, and then we can dive into that specifically.
Okay. Anybody else? No? All right. Manager's comments.
All right, well, I'll try to keep it somewhat short, but I wasn't here last meeting, so I've got a few catching ups to do. So I'll start off with the brine. The first application of all the brine were done on the 8th of August. They started the second application in those townships that want a second application. Hillsdale and Fayette are done. Litchfield should have been done yesterday. Adams is ready to be sprayed, and so they're probably actually working on that today. It's already scraped, but it's ready to be sprayed, which leaves Reading still need to be scraped, and then Fayette has a third round at a later date. And that should finish up the brine and the scraping now. Shoulders on Bankers Road, they've been placed from Belcom Road to the county line. North Adams Road, we'll get some shoulders when we're done with chip seal, and I'll hit that here in a little bit. And we'll finish that, as time allows us after chip seal. And then we're planning on hitting Jonesville Road later in the year after that's done. So Jonesville Road needs some work done on it. Let's see. As far as a crack seal, Reading Road, last I knew, and this was as of a day or so ago, had about a half mile left in one direction between Fowler and the village of Reading left to do. And then the crew's going to move down to Lake Diane, there's we knew there was one spot, but apparently there's a couple other small creeks that are there that we're gonna hit. And then when they're done with that whole Lake Diane area, they're gonna move over to Camden Road between Walden Road and Tuttle Road. And more than likely that'll be, if we can keep the crack seals continuing on, we will, but they'll be based on weather. Let's see. Hog Creek Road Bridge. We did the tree work. We had to remove a couple trees so that the crane will be able to swing and set the deck and all that stuff when it's time to do that. So we did some tree work back on the 20th, which was Tuesday. We started the removal of the deck and the abutments yesterday. They got most of the deck taken off, I think, already, and they're starting to break up the abutments. Get that all ready and everything out of there so that when the bridge does come, it can get delivered. And we've already got the crane there with the breaker to do that, and then the same, the excavator's there with the breaker to break that up. And then the crane will come in and be able to drive the tiles and set the decks. So really with that, we're just waiting on the contractor from Credit Timber Bridge to tell us when they're gonna deliver. Let's see. We still got Genesee Road just kind of sitting there and waiting to finish up. We did, I believe the north side of the road, I think the south side of the road is done. And we're just finishing up on the north side, and then we'll need the gravel stuff, but that'll be kind of later in the year after chip seal and all that. Chip seal really takes everybody. So. So basically Genesee Road's kind of on hold, but it's just going to be in the fall, and we'll try to finish that up. Sterling Road, we've got a meeting scheduled for Tuesday with the township board, and we were hoping, and I think it was for you and Mike to be part of.
I didn't get that message.
What time? I didn't get the message.
Maybe
I mean, I
we
talked to her originally.
No, I didn't get the time.
Told her when I could meet, but I didn't.
Okay, 2 o'clock on Tuesday.
2 o'clock on Tuesday.
Does that work for you two?
Yep, works for me.
We didn't want to have multiple ones to make it a quorum, but because it's your section and you're the chair to sit with them, me, Katie, Kevin, and hash out where we stand and where we think we ought to go.
Sounds good.
Correct. All right. Let's see. On the chip seal, so we started that yesterday. We started on Bacon Road from M49 to Sand Lake Road. We made it, the eastbound direction is done. We got headed back about a quarter mile and then ran out of emulsion. And so today, they're out there today and they're probably already going. They'll finish up Bacon today and move over to Bankers. And because Bankers is one of the roads that we're having the safety grant done on, so we need to get that done so when they can go in and do the center line grinding and all that kind of stuff, and it'll be done. And then we'll move on with the rest of the chip seal. Unless something else changes, we kind of throttled back on some of the chip seals. We're probably going to wind up with about 16 to 20 miles of chip seal this year. But then on top of that, Asphalt Materials is paying to refog all the other roads that got done last year that we feel weren't quite up to snuff. So they're paying for all of Bacon, and then they backed up on their thoughts of re-chip sealing every road, and they want us to fog seal those other roads. So I basically said, okay, so fog seal on a normal fog is just a little bit more than a paint, in my opinion. So they said, and they got an email from them that we can spray that at whatever shot rate we feel is necessary. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them double the shot rate. Normally, I don't want to get too far in the weeds for you, but normally we spray a fog at about 0.12 gallons per square yard. And we split that in half and spray half of it going one direction and turn around and spray the other half coming back to coat both sides of the stone. So basically instead of shooting it at a .06 each direction, we're gonna spray it at a .1 both directions. So hopefully that helps lock in what's still there, and we'll see how that goes, I guess.
So this is gonna be on the, like, Tim and Dawn Drive?
Yeah, all of them from last year, yep, to include Bacon and,
And there were some roads in Wright Township that got fog sealed last year.
all of them got fog sealed last year, except for Bacon. We never did Bacon because it immediately lost its stone,
Yeah.
so we didn't fog seal down. Everything else got fogged last year. We're gonna refog them again this year. We just for the twice the shot rate that we normally do.
Bacon is getting chip sealed again.
Yes, it's done, it should be done today,
And then
and then
sealed.
fog sealed, yes.
Okay.
But I was out there with them all day yesterday. I don't know if I offended some of them or not that we're used to doing it the way it's always been done here. I had them change a few things to where I bumped up the shot rate on the emulsion, I bumped down the stone rate, and they weren't used to seeing the black come through. And if they used to see black, I guess they poured more stone to it. Well, to me, that's not the right way to do it. Then you're gonna pick stone off of that extra stone. So I stayed out there with them, and me and Mark stayed out there with them all day yesterday. It does have black showing through, so that the emulsion's like totally encapsulating the stone in most parts where the truck run on it. It ran really good. No stones were like when you drive it, you know, hit it, you know, and you didn't get any of that yesterday. So I think it's gonna. And we used a different emulsion too. Sorry to hit that. Last year's emulsion is what they call a high float, which is an anionic emulsion that's a negative charge, and so you got to balance the charges with the stone is what, just like magnets, it separates or attracts. So they did a sample with the stone that we were using last year and a sample of what we've got in Oxio Pit that we're using this year. Ran it with two different style emulsions, which is the anionic, the negative charge, and the cationic, which is a positive charge, but it costs more. So we went with the cationic, and their samples showed that was more compatible with our stone than the other. So that was the other part of it. They gave us the cationic fluid and for all of it at the same rate that we would have paid for the HFRS, which is about 30 to 40 cents a gallon cheaper than what they would normally charge. So we got a little bit better material this year for stuff at the normal rate. But I don't know if that helped or confused you.
My question is when we talked about redoing what we chip sealed last year, I thought they were on board that the emulsion wasn't right for all of it. So how is fogging those roads gonna eliminate the problem?
When we took the sales rep out, that's the conversation I had with him.
Right.
When his managers came out, they felt the stone's still there, and that it wasn't a failed road, and they weren't willing to re-chip seal everything and wanted to do the fog seal instead. And the fog seal will be free, but
Do we think that's gonna solve the problem?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, in principle, yes, it should. The fog should, what we call choke out the existing, because right now, if it gets too hot, you can kind of twist the tire or twist your foot on there, and it's still a little bit like pliable. And a lot of places would spray like a light dusting of sand or something on it. That chokes it out and makes it like lock back up. They're saying that the fog should do the same thing. They should cover it, they should choke it back out. I don't know, to be quite honest with you, I've never done this. But AMI's management has basically said, no, we won't supply all the emulsion, we'll supply the fog seal and that road that failed, that totally failed. They recognize that one is, but the others still have stones sitting there. And so there's just a little bit of, I guess, loose stone that just kind of tumbles around, from traffic. We'll sweep that before we do the fog seal to get any loose impediments off of there, and then we'll fog seal it. And I guess we'll have to see how it goes.
So there is gonna be a new layer of stone applied?
No.
It's just gonna be
Just,
a flag
just
seal
fog,
over
we'll
what's?
sweep it to get dirt and loose stones off of it, and then fog seal what's still there, still stuck to the road, that's what they're saying, the stone's still there, so it didn't per se fail.
My observation in the roads that got chip sealed in Wright Township last year is exactly that. The stone is still there. Now clearly, I mean, I drive Bacon once in a while from Sand Lake Road West. And
That was gone.
Yeah.
There was
that was gone almost right away.
the little bit that's missing on the others is what's left on Bacon. So, to be honest with you, there's very small little
Yes.
spots that even had any stone whatsoever left on Bacon. So they did recognize and we adjusted the shop rate because that's already sealed. So that kind of helped a little bit, but yeah, the sales rep and the regional leadership didn't necessarily agree on.
My concern is it a dollar? Is it a dollar thing that's driving the decision, or is it truly what needs to be done for the roads?
And again, I haven't run into this.
Okay.
Where that is still there, still holding the stone, but I've never really seen it when it gets a reasonable temperature. What I call reasonable temperature. It's warm enough that it's still kind of it doesn't release it necessarily, but it just lets it move a little bit. And as soon as it cools back down, everything hardens back up. So with them saying they feel that the fog will again choke that out, won't allow that to happen. I can't honestly tell you
Okay.
whether I think that's going to work or not. You know, next year will tell us that. But,
So it's sort of a trial and error situation.
But what it does do is,
hope there's no errors.
if they would have given us the emulsion to do that, we would still have like the entire fleet of trucks, all the equipment, and the stone.
Right.
We were still going to have to put in for it. So about half of a chip seal process is the emulsion, the other half is labor, equipment, and stone.
Right.
So we were still going to put in a lot of money.
Right.
Where the fog seal, the only thing we have into it at all is one distributor and 4 seasonals to control traffic.
Right.
And they're all the materials on them. So we were paying for one piece of equipment versus about 20.
Yeah.
And 20 guys versus one operator and 4 seasonals. You know, so there is a cost savings there of what it would have cost us to redo it, but I honestly can't.
Right. So the 16 to 20 miles of chip seal we're gonna do is primarily all new then?
Yes.
That we had
Yes.
done last year?
There's 3, I think, that are contracted with the township, which are very small roads. It's like Ferndale. There's 4 small roads that are. The rest are pretty much our primary roads.
Okay.
2 of the miles is Bacon, is kind of figured in there, but we're not paying for that part.
Right.
The rest is basically our primary
roads.
roads.
And we weren't gonna do that much if we had to redo all last year, correct?
If they were gonna pay for it all, that would have bumped it up, almost doubled it, you know.
Correct, it was.
But now
okay.
it's just kind of, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I thought that because we were originally in the plan, we were supposed to do redo last year's, we weren't gonna get as many new miles this year.
Mhm.
So with the mileage that you're telling me, are we doing more new miles this year, or we're still sticking?
It's
with
still
the
pretty
reduced?
much the same
Okay.
plan, it just taken
Okay. The
last year
redo.
out of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So in the grand scheme of things, it won't hit the fund balance as hard as
Right,
what it would have,
right,
but,
right.
and that's probably a good thing right now,
Good
because all the
thing
trucks
this year. Yeah.
are coming to.
Yep. Yeah. The
All
good
right.
Lord provided once again.
Speaking of the trucks, so we've paid off, I think in that last one, we paid off the 2nd truck from Boyer Truck and Translease. And so we're still leasing the 3rd truck until November, and they'll give us a payoff then to pay that one off. They'll be done, and then we're just waiting on the 2 trucks that are at the truck and trailer getting built as swap loaders. Whenever the trucks are paid for, it's just the build we'll have to pay for when they're done. Hopefully they're done before winter hits and we can actually use them during this winter. Those are still a couple significant bills that are hanging out there for us. If we have to, we've got the CD that was originally for that. If we don't have to use it, I would like not to use it, and it's already made $51,000.
Right,
It's sitting there.
right, it's done well.
So anyway, that's that part. On to, some of the engineering kind of things that Heather's been working on. Heather and John have been working on the pavement markings. That's in the process of getting all the paint done. We get an update on that each day as to what they got done, and so they're doing all the special markings, railroads, stop bars, crossings, that kind of stuff. And then that basically the hub primary roads, and then the 1/4 of the county. And so that quarter will rotate around every 4 years. This is the second year, so after this year we'll have half of them, of all those others painted, so 2 more years we'll be able to start back over again.
Refresh my memory, which quarter of the county are you doing this year?
You make me lie here. It should be the southeast.
Southeast?
I think it's the same as the brush spray.
Okay.
Which, again, they started that Sunday. They started brush spraying. And that'll be that southeast corner of the county, and that's where we keyed all of our mowers and swing arm mowers to knock down the brush and stuff, so it's all mowed down, so it has a little bit of new growth, and then it gets sprayed, and it works a whole lot better. We had one issue with, I believe, Chris Wingate's area, where he's got no spray signs up, and they started to spray and then stopped. Well, I went out there and took a look, and the signs he had up there were about that big, stuck on his fence back off the right of way, and so, and sideways to the road. So as that brush sprayer was coming down the road, until he got to where he saw those signs like that, he didn't know that there was no spray signs. As soon as he saw them, he stopped, and of course that's when Chris and his wife made mention to the sprayer that they need to move on. So they did. They moved down to the next property line and then continued for there. I went and talked to him. He's okay with it. I made a suggestion that he get himself some new signs and put them sideways to the road so
Right.
the sprayers can see that. And he agreed. And so we're going to work on that to get him to where he doesn't have that work. But anyway, they're spraying that. They're continuing to spray it right now. I get a progress report on that every day as to how far they got or what they sprayed. Let's see. The Elm Road Bridge. So that's the one we've been waiting on, that hydraulic study. We finally got it all figured out where she's got the lady that's setting it all up for Eagle. She's got all the data she needs. We're hoping to have it on Monday, unless what she comes up with, Eagle has an issue with and makes us do a little more detailed examination. Hopefully not. John Scavina's been out there a couple times, and I think as long as everything comes in right,
We'll be all right.
God willing, that will be able to press forward, and they'll let us say what size tube and get it ordered.
Yes.
And then it's just waiting on the tube to come in, and which, to be honest with you, probably
Next year.
doesn't look like it'll be until like spring. Let's see, that's territorial road bridges. We've been in contact with Milbacher, which is the primary. They poured the abutments last week. They had to let them set for so many days, so they're planning on paving the approaches on the 26th, which will be Monday. So they're going to pave those approaches. That'll take a couple days to do. Then the guardrail contractor has to come in and put the guardrail on, and they're projecting to do that right after Labor Day. And then at that point, it's restoration and pavement markings with They're saying tentatively mid-September to wrap everything up. However, I think Heather talked last time about that the actual completion, they have until 18 October. They're not planning on taking that long, they never have. But I take it they've had a couple issues with subcontractors, and the guardrail's one of them, as to why it has pushed back. But we really can't assess liquidated damages until after October 18th. And even then, if they can show a good cause as to why, we could extend it, but nobody's looking at that. Nobody, they don't even think they'll get close to it. So they're saying now mid-September should be plenty.
What's an embankment?
That's the cement walls that the bridge sits on. There's one on each side of each river. Those are concrete abutments, and then the decks for the bridge set on that.
And you said they're pouring the embankment?
No, they're pouring the approaches. So that's all set, the
Okay.
decks, the abutments are there, the decks are there, that's what they've been working on this entire time.
Okay,
Then they've gotta pour the approaches coming up to them, because they're this high above the actual road.
okay,
They pour that with concrete to a certain level,
okay,
those are the approaches, and then they'll pave
and then they'll pay.
up to and hook everything together.
And with the timber bridges, we don't have embankments because they do pilings,
Yes, the pilings are the abutments.
Okay.
But we'll still have to pave that.
but you still have to pay.
That'll be on a dirt road, gravel road. But the actual deck itself has to get paved to cover the timbers.
Right.
But that's our guys will do that, and
Okay. Just
our
want,
guys will do everything on concrete
Yes.
except for driving the pilings, setting the caps that go on them, and then set the deck. Other than that, they will build the deck and they'll set it.
right, all right, thanks for that
All right.
explanation.
I just have a question on the
Sure.
territorial road bridges. A year ago, my memory says that there was talk that they had to be done by around the 24th or 5th of September, or we lost the federal aid.
That was all part of the permitting process. So yes, technically that could happen, but as long as you're moving and they're right at the finish line, nobody's ever gonna say anything about that if they cross that, I think it's the 24th of September. That was for the permit to be valid. And so really technically, if push comes to shove, we might have to apply for another permit.
Extension on the permit.
But that was all that was for, the permit, which the permit allowed it to start and keep the, if we didn't have the permit back then, a year ago, they would have stopped the funding probably. But because we had the permit, and if push comes to shove, we may have to apply for an extension on the permit, but I don't think anybody's too concerned about that right now. And they're still projecting to be done before that anyway. But
Yeah.
So yeah, that was where that little confusion on the two dates came in. West Sock Trail is the project that's up in Somerset. And all the paving's complete, the contractor's gonna come back to do shoulder and, restoration that's seeded if they need be. They plan to have that done and complete by the 31st. So by the end of next week, the end of the month, they intend to have everything done, buttoned up and done. Alright. For our safety project, which Bankers is one of them I talked about earlier, to have the center line rumble strips and the recessed paint markings on Bankers Road. And so that, just to refresh your memory, it's Bankers Road from the Branch County line to the city of Hillsdale, Moscow Road from Sterling to the county line to the north, and Territorial, West County line, all the way across basically. And we'll have to work with them on that area for the bridge. Hopefully by then the bridge is done, they'll be able to go right on through and do that portion too. They might have to take out that one section and do it as soon as the bridge is done, but I don't think they'll get all this other done before the bridge is done and out of the way, and they'll be able to go right through.
So when they do that marking, how long is that supposed to be good for?
I don't know if there's an actual like, how many years, but it lasts a long time because it's recessed, and so the blades and traffic don't actually hit the recessed paint, because they actually grind it in a little bit into the asphalt, and then they lay the paint in that channel, basically, so all of our blades go over the top of it, we don't scratch it off all the time, which is the whole intent. They do it a lot with intersection markings, and especially in the cities and stuff, and they use the plastic material, and that keeps that from getting, that's expensive, and that keeps that from getting wore off. They've figured out they can do the same thing with regular paint, and it still lasts a lot longer, and all you gotta do is repaint it again if it does. The grooves are still there.
Here's the reason I asked that question. Okay, in 2020, the road commission, chip sealed and fog sealed Territorial Road from 127 to M99. Nothing's been done with the stretch like that, with the stretch from M99 to the Indiana state line. In my opinion, that road needs to be chip sealed and fog sealed. And so we're gonna do this now, and then, you know, that was, to me, it seems like we've got the horse before the cart.
Well, the center line rumble strips
Cart
will
before the horse.
still be there, even if you chip seal over the top of it, you still have those rumble strips in there. It dampens it a little bit, but they're still significantly, you'll know if you run over those. Same with the edge line, when it's recessed into the pavement, even if you chip sealed over it, you're still gonna have that difference. You're gonna have chip seal in here, but you're gonna have chip seal on the road too. So there's still gonna be that little bit of a depression that will still take paint and keep it a little bit below where our blades are gonna be scratching it off. Is it ideal? No. But that was a big, long stretch that we could get that safety grant to pay for, and it puts in the center line rumble strips at the same time. And so, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but yes, ideally, it would be better to do it all first, kind of like we're doing the bankers, but that's a long stretch there that'll, just to chip seal that stretch, but that's gotta be 20 miles?
Not that long, because it's
Or you're
21.
talking to 99, I guess.
Yeah, from 99 west to the Indiana line, so it's, it'd be probably around 12 or 14 miles.
Okay. So just for a ballpark, about for every 2 miles of chip seal, you're talking $100,000.
For every mile, 50,000.
And so to do a 12-mile stretch, that's a pretty good chunk of change there.
$600,000.
I call that a pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah.
So, yes. Let's see, so that's the safety projects for 24. And then for what we're submitting for the federal aid projects for 25, Heather's getting those around now with the deadline is December 25, and so that we can meet a May of 25 bid letting for it. And that was for the, I think it's a 2-inch overlay on Moscow. Didn't bring it with me. You know what? One of these right here. No, it's not. No, that's the pavement markings. That's what I was just talking about, those routes. I think it's, I don't want to lie to you. I know Moscow Road's one of them. Moscow, Concord, and one of them over in the west side. Mary? Okay. So those are the 3 roads that we're gonna try to do like 2 miles of each, and then the following year do another couple miles and try to hook those together to where when you get those done, then they can be chip sealed, and those primary truck routes and stuff like that would actually last for quite a while. But that's just what we're trying to submit right now for the 2025 federal aid project. Oh, let's see. Oh, sorry, it's Concord, hearing, and reading. We took Moscow off of there for some reason. So Concord is 12 to Sterling. Hearing is 49 to Cronk, and reading is Kelly to Long Lake.
Good.
Alright. Other than that, I've got a few things that are gonna be down under the new business that we gotta to go over, but do you have any questions?
Yes, you didn't make mention of the territorial road culvert in Amboy Township, east of Burr Lake Road.
That's the one I was saying we were waiting for the hydraulic study.
No, I thought
Oh,
that.
that was
Elm
Elm.
Road.
Yes. Find it here, 'cause I had it down here. Okay, so for that one, the Territory Road east of Bird Lake culvert, we got the okay to submit the permit, and so, and I think she did submit it the other day. We're just waiting on the okay back from Sabina that'll tell us, yes, we can order that too. That was all in the perching of it,
Yeah,
and so as long as he agrees to that permit that we submitted, if not, we might have to tweak the design, but that's, I don't think there's a big to do there.
so what's the possibility of getting that done yet this year?
That one could be.
If we can get
That's
the
gonna
two
be
quick enough.
more on how long it takes to manufacture to make the tube.
Okay,
So now that the permit's in, that kind of launches that, instead, we're just waiting on Eagle to tell us, yeah, you can do that. Which he didn't have an issue with the size, he just wanted to make sure the elevations were right on the drawings.
okay, a couple of other questions. I believe it was last fall, there was talk about, putting lights and gates at the railroad crossing on the west side of Montgomery Village limits. Not heard any more about that.
That all goes through, at that point, the railroad and MDOT. MDOT's the one that controls that, because that's their railroad. And so they will install that at whatever, because we're not really in that, other than we had to agree to apply, future maintenance or the electrical cost that it takes to run those, we had to agree to provide that. So it'll be up to them. We actually just did the same thing on Quackenbush. We've done the same thing where we agreed to do future maintenance and electrical on that.
So in terms of timing of that, we don't really know.
No, that's all up to MDOT rail at that point.
Okay.
I don't imagine it's gonna be, I don't know if it'll be this year now, but I don't imagine it'll be too long, because that's MDOT rail saying, hey, we got an issue we wanna fix. And so they've already got the grant and everything established.
Occasionally I drive that road.
That's
That's a bad angle.
There's multiple ones like that throughout the county.
Fortunately, the train goes slow.
Yeah, because that's on a grade, and so they go slow going up that grade. But so yes, we did it for there, and we also, like I said, Heather just met with them a couple weeks ago on the same similar type of thing on Quackenbush.
Okay. Then just a comment. Yesterday, I had gone to Coldwater, and on my way home, I ended up coming across Bacon from 49. And the sign that said you were doing chip sealing was several hundred feet from the intersection of 49 and Bacon. You know, and it's too far away for me to read until I got close to it. And when I realized what was going on, I turned around and went back. From a motorist standpoint, why wasn't that sign just east of the intersection so that other people driving the road, you know, maybe they hadn't heard it on the radio, whatever, they could have made the same decision and wait until you get a half a mile east before, almost a half a mile east before you see the sign.
Well, I know the signs were right there at the intersection.
Now,
And as they moved on down, they moved it down to give them, because there's only so much room there. And so, once we got that first little bit done, then the signs got spread out. They should be like 10 times the speed limit, between signs. And so, once we got enough room, because you gotta have the road work ahead, chip seal, flagger ahead, you know, and so all those are 550 foot apart before you can have the flagger sitting there. It was all congested right at the beginning, but once they moved down, we spread everything out. It's just tough, especially when you're doing a state road. But
Bacon's not a state road.
it's coming off of a state road though. That's the part that was the issue, is people that were coming off of the state road wanting to go down there, you know. But we're only doing one lane at a time. They get traffic, they get directed around it.
It's a heavily traveled road, and in my opinion, that sign should have been closer to the intersection.
Like I said, when we started out, I know they were, because I was out there the entire day. They were all bunched up, in my opinion, too close to the intersection. And as we got that part done, we were able to spread them out. But at that point, we were running in the opposite lane, so anybody coming from 49 they were held while they're, because anytime that distributor's spraying, we don't let anybody go by.
Yeah.
Because it creates
A mess.
so they just hold him there. When he's done spraying, then they let the traffic go. And then they're on solid, the old asphalt. We were working in the other lane. And so.
And I will say this, I was not the only person that turned around and went back to
Oh, there's a lot of
49.
people.
You either went north or south, because, you know, when you're in the process of chip seal, I don't want to take my vehicle down that road.
But like I said, nobody ever was directed onto the freshly chip sealed road.
I hear you. I didn't get far enough east to even see where the project was going on.
Okay.
But had I known, you know, had I seen a sign that it was readable close to M49, I would have never even ventured to go down Bacon.
Well, we
If it means,
take that into consideration.
if it
That's a learning
means an
curve.
extra sign or two, then I think it's worth it.
Okay, we can do that.
Anything else? Old business, now we're on Park Road. Have fun.
I'll defer to you.
So I need to, get to the Board of Commissioners with a proposal. I stopped in on Monday, I got the proposal, that has been signed by the Road Commission and signed by Hillsdale Township. And, in the course of the discussion, Bob and my question was, do the side roads really need to be done? That was my question. And the answer I got was that it probably needs to be done because they're very narrow roads that as cars drive off for parking or going around whoever's there, that they drive off the edge, and that's what crumbles the side of the road. So there needs to be gravel, and I understand that part of the project. Then our conversation evolved into, let's make those roads gravel. That was my question. I did call Bob on that. I understand what your point is. But with the narrowness of those side roads, does gravel make sense? Then there's no crumbling in the future of the edges. And in fact, when you have gravel, you're really making the road a little bit wider.
Now, Doug and I had discussed this, on my opinion, we're applying for new docks, handicap accessible. And our theory was to bring those so that we got asphalt for wheelchairs and stuff to go to. Gravel's gonna be a little difficult, and plus, I don't know if that'd change our grant or not.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't know that the grant's gonna be awarded, to tell you the
Right,
truth.
we don't know that.
And so part two of my question is, can we do the main road going into the park as the road project, you know, the shared road project as phase one, and then phase two in 25 do, based on the grant and so on and so forth, we'll know better what projects will be done. Can we do that in two phases, with phase one being the entrance to the community center, the main road?
How's the county feel about two phases?
This is,
Well, so I don't know, that's why, you know, it's a road project, I understand we're talking about a parks issue, okay? But it's a shared project with the road commission, the township, it's really a township road. And, to have a contribution with the, board of commissioners, you know, that's what I'm gonna bring on Tuesday, to try and facilitate this project. And Bob indicated to me as well that it can be done yet this season.
the question of the park roads have been a discussion for several years. And the township has been unwilling to meet that need. The township has decided to meet the need. Costs only go up, as evidenced by the 800 megahertz radio system, went from 11 million to 16 million. I don't think we want a two-phase system. Let's get this money, if the money's available, let's get the project completed, because whenever we try to do anything at the parks, we are begging for money, and to have to beg twice is not necessary in this case. Let's get it done. The parks have been treated as a stepchild, and it's time to do the right thing by the parks, and that's, let's get this project done.
And I'm
That's my
trying to
comment.
do it in the best fashion as well. And in the discussion, it seemed that going gravel on side roads really is the better answer.
And then you have a dust issue, and then you have a washboarding issue, and then you have pothole issues. I think you're going backwards instead of forwards. I don't think we need to go backwards in the parks.
Well, I think another part of that, as I see it, is the issue with handicapped people who may, you know, are on a wheelchair, and a wheelchair is a whole lot more workable on a hard surface than it is on gravel. And, you know, that's one of the things, the handicap accessibility is one of the keys to getting grant approval. I mean, that scores lots of points. And if the thing isn't handicap accessible, you know, you get knocked down pretty steeply. So that would be, you know, part of my argument, saying, you know, I think we need the blacktop. All of the roads that are currently blacktop there, and I concur with Kathy.
In addition to that, the blacktop, putting that on and spending that money now, because those roads are not high traffic, that blacktop lasts longer than what a normal road would. So again, that investment is for a longer period of time. So to me, let's invest in the roads, because even if you were to change those back to a gravel road, there's a cost involved. It's not, that's not free. There's a cost involved. I don't know exactly what the cost is. I don't know if it's a half of what we're asking for. You know, I don't know that answer, but there's still a cost involved. And then you have gone backwards instead of forward. And that, as a county park, and if we're gonna try to move the parks, maintain and move them forward, let's not regress. Let's see progress.
Did that answer your question, Doug? You're still.
Well, I've heard from two people on the road commission.
Three.
Three, yes, I have heard three. There you go. So stay
Well,
tuned.
what's your opinion? I'm just waiting.
There's good points to both sides of that. And to me personally, it probably doesn't make a huge difference either way to me and how I would treat the roads. Where you address the asphalt would last longer because you don't have the heavy truck traffic, you don't have the high volume traffic or the high speed traffic. But the same principle applies if you turn it to gravel. It won't pothole up and everything is bad because you don't have all that on it, and it could be scraped. And one of the things I guess I talked to the commissioner about when he was here, there's even the option of, and that's a whole different story, of decertifying those roads. Only keeping the main road into the community center a certified road, decertifying them, which would then make them per se a park road, and the road commissioner would not be responsible for it.
Now, that being said, as a road commissioner, I'd probably agree with you. As a park, I disagree 100%.
Exactly. That's where the county, in my opinion, the county would have to pony up to take care of the grading and stuff, which could be done with a box scraper probably at that point for most of that. But there's got to be some kind of ownership or pledge that we'll take care of it, through the county budget versus what's getting done right now is, looking for stuff from the road commission, the township, and the county.
Well, this is the first we've ever had Hillsdale Township willing to put money in.
Now, on the other part of the cost, I did give you a cost breakdown,
Yes,
or a
you
basic estimate
Yes.
of what it would take if we kept the one main road and paved it like we were planning, 2-inch overlay, and then grinding the rest. It basically changes it on the township's part and the county's part of from about $38,000, I think it's $38,040 to $22,500. That's the difference. And it still costs $22,500 to grind them up and do that main road, or $38,000.
And every spring you gotta bring in new gravel.
Like I said, not necessarily, because just like the pavement lasts longer, so would those gravel roads would last longer.
So here's another concern, that I have if we go to gravel. I mean, we're already, under the gun from Eagle about using brine on roads, and, it's gonna get in the water pretty quickly there if you turn those roads to gravel. That becomes, another issue. Contaminating that water with brine. I mean, when you're brining a gravel road out in the countryside, you don't have a pond on each side of the road.
There's good points and bad points to all this. It's not to make the point. But all the bigger volume those are and all the bigger speeds they are, you may not even need to brine, because they're only going about 10 miles an hour. And if you did, there's nothing saying you can't just spray water on them to keep the dust down every once in a while.
Who's gonna spray the water?
Well, again, that's.
I mean, get the county commissioners out there to spray water.
So there's options, good and bad for both, and I'm not gonna pick sides here.
So from the county's perspective, 22,000 versus 36. So we're talking $14,000 difference to the county. For $14,000, you want to regress where we're at the parks instead of progress. And don't tell me that if you have a choice between living on a dirt road, a gravel road versus a paved road, you're going to choose a gravel road. That's not going to happen.
What I will say is, you keep using the word regressing, and I'm not sure that I've heard regressing is the only answer to this. I think that I've heard there's good points to both processes, and you're laying it out on the bad side. There's a good side as well. Am I promoting one way or another? No. What I'm trying to do is get the information, because I'm going to sit in a room with 4 other people that I have to make sure I have good conversation so that I can respond in the proper fashion. And that's what I'm hearing right now. And so I'm getting the information I need to have a good result for the county and for the parks.